I'd like to call to order the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, April 2nd. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much with that. Really not much in terms of today's update from my end. I feel like, didn't we just meet last week? I think it was, yes. So not really too much to report, except that, construction is continuing here at Town Hall. And there's been a delay for the groundbreaking because of the weather. So any liaison reports or selectmen comments?
None from me.
No? Okay. Yeah, I know it's just been a short time since our last meeting. Any hands raised for citizens' comments?
No, there are not.
Nope. Okay, going once, and there's an opportunity at the end of the meeting. Also, just want to highlight, if anybody's watching this, we have an executive session at the end of the meeting, in which case, actually, the screen will go dark. We will be having an executive session, and then all we will be doing at the end of that executive session is coming out and adjourning. So we'll have citizens' comments prior to the executive session, just to alert people. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, and I'm actually just going to make a slight amendment to the consent agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with the addition of the first selectman slides to the minutes. They just were left out of the packet. Usually I have my slides from the presentation. If I do any slides during my selectwoman's update, they're part of the, and they just got dropped this time. With that slight amendment to the consent agenda. Any, can I get a motion?
Move
So
approval.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all that say aye.
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 All right, great, motion passes. Sorry, I don't think I'm awake. I did have coffee too, but I don't feel awake. So, all right, with that, we'll move on to item number 7. I'd like to make a motion to accept a donation of 2 AEDs with an approximate value of $1,679.68 from Defib Tech for the Beach and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Peggy, you might just want to help the public understand what that AED means.
yeah. So I thought I'd invite Austin up in our discussion. So just to, because it's always nice to get a donation of these. I think he's on, and he can just talk about the what these are, the defibrillators, and we're appreciative of the donation. So I just want to highlight these because we do have these in different locations throughout town. Go ahead, Austin.
Hi, Peggy. Thanks for inviting me up.
Okay.
So yeah, AED is a automated external defibrillator, and we have them at the senior center. We have one at the town campus gym. We also have one at the surf club, and this donation of 2 will allow us to have one at East Wharf during the summer. So the lifeguards will have one there. And the second one we plan on putting outside at Strong Field. So it's available to the public 24 hours a day. So it'll go on the back side of the Anderson team room, or so where the teams, if you to get you to where you could see it, where the teams enter into the actual team room. So that'll be there'll be a sign on the wall that says AED here with an arrow pointing down, and it'll be available 24 hours a day from, say, April to November. So it'll be kept in a housing attached to the building, and then in the winter we'll take it down.
Austin will.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Al. No, go
I
ahead.
was going to
Al.
ask Austin if some of the staff members are going to receive any specific training on this.
Yeah, good question. So all of our staff members, before they're hired, have to be first aid, CPR, and AED trained. So everyone keeps up with that certification. So everyone on my staff, from from Memorial Day to Labor Day is already certified. All of the staff in the office is certified. All the grounds crew is certified. So everybody on site, but the best part about these AEDs is they're meant to be used by the public. The machine talks you through how to do it. So even if you have no training or just a little bit of knowledge, the machine walks you through the entire process of what to do in an emergency.
Great.
Well, we're very grateful for the donation. And, you know, I'm just thinking, maybe we'll put some sort of thing out just so people are aware, you know, where these are located and all that, because it's usually in a crisis when, you know, you're
Mhm.
needing something like this and you don't really, I wonder if there's a way to somehow get these on mapping or something like that. We'll talk about that offline, but you know, just so people are aware. You know, I think it's great ones being added as strong, you know, just because we've seen so many incidences with athletes, young athletes having you know, medical issues, and to know that there's something available. So we're grateful for their donation.
Yeah, we've also been approached by a resident in town who's going to donate one for Salt Meadow as well, which is another, you know, field that's used every single day from, you know, end of March through Thanksgiving. So we'll find a place to put that outside as well, and that'll be kept there 24 hours a day. I do have concerns about them being vandalized or, you know, taken, but I think that's a risk we have to take in order to keep people safe there.
Great. Any other board member questions?
No?
Nope. Okay, great. Well, I guess with that, then all in favor of accepting the donation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. And just to highlight to the board, normally I don't think a donation of the size we have to recognize. I think under 2,000 can just be administratively accepted, but I thought it was important to highlight, you know, the importance of what we were getting and all that. So, well, thank you, Austin.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is a presentation on River Valley Transit, the Microtransit pilot program that the town of Madison and Guilford are jointly had applied for this grant over a year ago through River Valley Transit. We were awarded the grant, and the program is going to be launching in the end of May, early June timeframe. And so I wanted to have Joe Comerford and Brendan from River Valley Transit just talk about the program, what the expectations are, and I think it's an exciting opportunity for the town. So thank you.
Thank you for having us. I will share my screen here. Okay. Everybody see my screen? I think it looks like the
Yep.
wrong one. Let me stop my share real quick.
Well, I find, I guess I can start. Joe Comerford, Executive Director of River Valley Transit, which our legal name is Estuary Transit District. So our River Valley Transit is our new name, but you may know us as the Estuary Transit District. We've been around and serving Madison for quite some time. I think it's been there quite close to 30 years that we've been running into Madison through our regular fixed route bus that stops over at the Scranton Gazebo, and from there goes to Old Saybrook down Route 1. Got it, Brendan?
All right. Yeah, so I think we should be okay. We can just do this for now.
Okay. And I have with me Brendan Garrity, who is our transit planner. We share him with RiverCog. And he's been the lead on this project and on the grant application. And due to his great application, we were awarded this new expansion of Microtransit.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here as well.
So yeah, very quickly talk about who we are. So we're the public transit provider for all of Middlesex County, plus a couple towns in New London County, and then portions of Madison. And as I mentioned earlier, Our new name is River Valley Transit. The reason we changed our name is because for many years we operated as Nine-Town Transit. But then in July 1st, 2022, we combined with Middletown Area Transit. And so we rebranded to, represent the new area that we served, which is a much larger area, and has really enabled our people from the shoreline better access to Middletown and beyond, and vice versa. So as we're one new system and branding for the entire county, I think we are the only countywide transit district. In Connecticut, we don't do much by counties, so this is one thing that's countywide. And we currently actually have two routes that serve Madison. So one's been doing for a very long time. The other is now 5 years old, and that goes from Madison up to Middletown. And that actually have our two busiest routes in the shoreline division. Surprising that newer route has become very popular. So we're very happy to see the growth of that.
Where is that route again?
It goes from the Scranton Gazebo.
Yeah,
And it goes up Route 81 to Middletown.
it does 81. That's right. Okay.
81, you go through Clinton, it goes basically express to the mall, Clinton Mall. And it makes that connection with the New Haven bus in Madison. So Madison is really a small hub for us. We have two routes there, and then you also have the New Haven CT Transit New Haven 201 route. So it is it is one of the busiest stops in our whole system. This Grand Gazebo, probably, what did you say, Brendan? Probably like the third, fourth busiest stop in our system.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Definitely top 10 for sure. Yep. Absolutely.
And just quickly go through again what kind of services we provide. We operate 13 fixed route buses, which the more traditional, what you think was the bus route, or operates on a schedule with a fixed route that you can. And those are again over two divisions. We have a Middletown division and we have a shoreline division. And our fixed routes even go beyond our normal service area. They even go as far as Meriden, up on the northwest side. We go as far as New London. So they really even stretch beyond our district to connect into other districts. So from us, you can get into Meriden, connect on CT Transit Meriden. We connect on to CT Transit New Britain, CT Transit Hartford, CT Transit New Haven, and then to the New London system, Southeast Area Transit. So we provide a lot of connections, plus all the rail connections. We connect to Shoreline East and CT Rail Hartford, and Amtrak, and Greyhound even. So we provide a lot of connectivity. We also provide a dollar ride service, which is a door-to-door service. And our dollar ride's actually open to the general public. And then we also have ADA paired transit service, which is a service for people with disabilities that prevent them from using the regular fixed route buses, and it operates along the route. So we do provide ADA paired transit service in parts of Madison that are right along our bus route there. One thing on here is we also have a taxi voucher service, which we do offer to Madison residents. And that provides half the cost of a taxi trip, which can include an accessible taxi to anywhere in Connecticut, any time of the day, 7 days a week. And then one of our newer services is ExtraMile on-demand service, which is what we're going to focus on today. But we do already have two ExtraMile, we call ExtraMile zones. The first one we did was in 2019 in Old Saybrook, Westbrook. And then we expanded that to Middletown about 2 years ago. And so we already have a good amount of experience operating microtransit services. We actually were the one, we first approached DOT about microtransit back in 2018 and brought it to Connecticut. So this is not new to us. It will be a new zone and new to Madison and Guilford, but something we're very familiar with. So I'll turn it over to Brendan to talk about the details of the pilot program for Madison and Guilford.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Joe. And can everybody see my slides okay? Are they changing through?
Yep.
Great, awesome. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about our DOT microtransit grant. So we actually applied for a statewide grant. DOT had some money set aside to actually look and explore new pilot microtransit services. So they were looking at testing these in a variety of situations, right? So they wanted to see how would microtransit work in a rural area, an urban area, a suburban area, right? So we actually applied for 3 different zones. You guys kind of fit the suburban category. We applied for a rural area in East Hampton, in the Belltown area. And then we also applied for a sort of urban area in Middletown. So we tried all 3, and lucky enough, we actually received funding for all 3 pilot programs, which is very exciting. So we have a lot of work to do to get these all on the ground, but we're excited to launch them soon. I apologize as well if there's some background noise. So why Madison and Guilford, right? So we could have chosen anywhere in our service area. Why did we choose to have Madison and Guilford be our new ExtraMile zone? So one of the first things we noticed is there's actually a lot of similarities between our existing successful ExtraMile zone in Old Saybrook, Westbrook, and Essex in the shoreline there. You know, it has train stations, it has medical offices, shopping centers, employment centers, lots of the same, we call them demand generators that would cause demand for transit. We see a lot of those in Madison and Guilford, especially in the south there in the Boston Post Road, but even up north too, there's some exciting opportunities up there as well. And speaking of the north and central parts of Madison and Guilford, there were also transportation gaps. I know Peggy's been very adamant about the fact that we want to make sure we gain access for transit to these residents up and in the central and northern parts of these regions. So, and we agree, we always want to try and connect people, especially where there hadn't been options before. So this could be a new option to get people around town and also get them connected with other services that can take them farther, right? So yes, you'll see the zone in just a second. It is the entirety of both Madison and Guilford, but this will also be able to take you to other bus transfer points you can get farther, right? So it is a service for Madison and Guilford primarily, but you can use it to get further outside of Madison and Guilford. And then finally, you know, as town's important commitment, we kind of approached both Madison and Guilford. They were very supportive and we're committed to helping us market it and get it out there because this is a pilot program. So we want to make sure this does well. We believe that, you know, we'll go into details later, but it does have at least 2 years of funding with potential for more. So we definitely want to make sure we do a good job and get good ridership out of this. So those are some of our reasons why we chose Madison and Guilford. But a little more, what is ExtraMile, right? We've been talking about microtrans, we've been talking about grants. What is it? So it is an on-demand shuttle service. Riders request a ride through an app or a phone. We're about a 50-50 split right now between people using the app or the phone. Drivers then come ASAP on demand to pick them up with efficient routing. And they are picked up only and dropped off only within the zone, right? So they can only pick up the zone. They can't go, for example, to Middletown. They'd have to stay in Madison and Guilford. But they can go anywhere within Madison and Guilford. It's very similar to an Uber or Lyft, except that it's a lot cheaper and that it also has a limited zone. And it's available to anybody in the general public. There's no, restrictions on it. If you're a senior, anybody's allowed to use it, which is very nice. So, and they also are all wheelchair accessible, as I mentioned here. So just because it's available to everyone, it truly is available to everybody. So even folks in wheelchairs can still use this service. As I mentioned, this is a 2-year pilot program. It has the opportunity to have additional extension years based on how we do, right? Based on performance, but also if there's funding available. The service is a curb-to-curb service, so it picks you up, if you're, at a Stop and Shop and you want to get to an apartment complex, it will pick you up there and drop you off. So it's a point-to-point system, curb-to-curb. And then passengers, just to be clear, passengers can cross. So we definitely are there's no restrictions in saying if someone lives in Madison and they want to go to Guilford, there's no problem with that at all. So that's one of the things that's very convenient about the service as well. So there's no restrictions on where you go within the zone as long as you're within the zone. So here's the actual zone itself, right? I wasn't kidding. It is just the town boundaries of Madison and Guilford. So anywhere within that zone, you can go from Guilford to Madison and vice versa. There are going to be about 4 vehicles in the zone at one time. That might vary a little bit, but for the most part, there'll be 4 vehicles in the zone picking up rides as they get them. They'll then be dispatched accordingly, right? So if wherever the vehicles are, if there's a ride nearby, it'll send the closest vehicle to pick them up. There will be a $1.75 fare. This is our same fare for ExtraMile, both in Middletown and in the old Saybrook zone. We think it's very reasonable. If you've ever looked at an Uber or a Lyft, it's more than $1.75, that's for sure, or a taxi. And people can use cash on the vehicle itself, or they can through the app set up a credit or debit card account on there. So if they have the app, they can easily attach a credit or debit card and they can just pay that way. So that's a good way to go. And the service hours are Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then Saturday, 7:30 to 6 p.m. So those are our hours. We do not have Sunday service. And at the time of applying, we didn't have Sunday service. So these are our hours for the pilot. Again, so it gives us a good amount of coverage for Monday through Friday and some weekend service as well. All right, so again, a little more detail about how to actually request a ride, right? So the images I have on the right there are actually screenshots of the app itself. So you can kind of see how the app looks like. As folks have ever used an Uber or Lyft, it looks very similar. You basically type in where you'd like to go. This is our Middletown zone here. You can type in where you'd like to go and it'll give you an option to go. So we actually recommend folks use the app, ExtraMile by RET app. We want to steer people there for a variety of reasons. It's a better booking experience. So you actually, when you book in that app there, you can see the bus in real time where it is in the map. It gives you better ETAs. It'll tell you, it's 5 minutes away. It also provides less stress in our call centers. So our call centers handle ExtraMile and they definitely can. So one option for folks who definitely don't have a smartphone or aren't comfortable using it, they can definitely use our number. That's definitely not a problem at all. We just, wherever possible, we like to steer people towards the app because it's easier on our call centers. Our call centers also take our dial ride calls or ADA calls. So there's lots of other complaints. There's lots of stress in our call centers. So wherever possible, we like to steer people towards the app, and it's a better experience for people who do use the app. But of course, we will still, take numbers by call. We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to use the service so that there's no restrictions there. And again, on the app, you have the ability to set the credit card and debit card. So definitely our advantage to using the app, but we know that not everybody is app savvy and not everybody has a smartphone. So we definitely want to make sure we're accessible to everybody in the service so they can definitely still call our number and do it the old fashioned way. That definitely works okay too. So marketing. So, this is a project, we're lucky in that many of the different statewide projects that got funded are like starting from scratch, right? So they're starting from they're having to create the marketing for their brand. They're having to try and kind of build the plan as it's happening. We're in a good position where we actually, we've been, as Joe's been saying this, we've been doing this since 2019. So we have existing materials that we can amend and change. And we have a software partner that also produces high quality graphics and stuff. So we'll be able to have good outreach materials. You can see we have some of our flyers, some of our social media posts, things like that have all, and also an example of us tabling as well. So we're going to be doing a variety of things to promote this. We'll be doing in-person presentations and tables, social media, email blasts, that kind of thing. Physical flyers, brochures we can hand out, reach out to towns, nonprofits, and even businesses as well. So big businesses like reaching out to a Big Y or reaching out to medical centers to make sure they have these little brochures. So if people have transportation issues, they can just hand them out. And then again, we're going to be definitely reliant on municipal communications as well. So having that partnership with towns and town organizations to help spread the word about this is going to help us, because we'll definitely do our part to get the outreach, but we hope that we also have good support from the towns, and I think we will based on our conversations. So we're really excited to get the word out there about this. I think it's a great program, and I'm more than happy to go back and talk about anything that we went over. I know it's a lot of information, so but we definitely have a proven track record of on demand, which is really exciting, and I think it puts us in a unique position to do well in these pilots. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you for the time.
Brendan, how's the DOT going to measure success for this grant program?
Sure, great question. I mean, the biggest one is probably ridership. To be honest, ridership is probably the biggest one, but they also want to look at intermodal connections. So are folks using it getting off the train from Shoreline East to get home, or are they using it to get in a bike? But to be honest, I think the biggest one is ridership, and I would say wait time, so average wait time, right? So the performance measures, they have a whole sort of criteria performance measures, right? So wait time, rides per hour, that kind of thing to do it, and we'll give them monthly reports on those numbers. And what's nice is we actually our software providers actually generate those numbers pretty easily for us, so it's not a huge lift to get them, and so we can also give them to the town as well as we go.
I know very little about the economics of this kind of a service, but is it reasonable to foresee that such a service might actually pay for itself?
I would say no. So this is the $1.75 is heavily subsidized. Yeah, no, we'd be charging, I don't even know, couldn't take a guess, but it'd probably be $20-$30 to actually break even or even make a profit. So yeah, the $1.75 is heavily subsidized. It's meant to be, it is public transportation, so it's meant to be a subsidy there. Yep.
Uh, on the marketing piece, can you go back to that?
Yes.
Is there, you have a marketing company, right, that's doing this?
Yeah, so we have a marketing consultant. She's been actually Susan Rubinski. She's been doing a few other microtransit programs as well. So she's kind of
Okay.
she's very ingrained in the transit space. Yep.
So,
And
but
she-
are you going to be
initial
pushing
launch.
this? Sorry, Joe.
She did our initial launch of the Old Saybrook and Westbrook. So she's very familiar with it. But
Okay.
also marketing is included with our software vendor too. They provide some materials for us.
And what's the timing on the promotional materials and the launch being available? Because I would assume you're going to do this like probably a month prior to the launch.
Yeah, yeah, we're aiming for like around May. And then the other thing I didn't mention, you see in the table there, CT Rides is a statewide marketing tool for public transit around the state of Connecticut. That's covered, it's a program of DOT, and that's available to us as well. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with CT Rides, but they're another great tool. They focus on the work and school type commuting. So if you have employers that would be interested in talking, having discussion about their employees commuting to work, CT Rise is a great tool as well. And they helped us again initially launch our first zone in Old Saybrook and Westbrook.
And Middletown as well, actually. They were there helping us promote the tables too, and Middletown as well. Yep. At no cost.
It might be helpful just to know timing, because then we can have our own kind of communication plan in terms of sharing what's out there. I want to get this into the school communications that go out, especially prior to the end of the year, so that people are aware of this, parents are aware of this.
We're definitely aiming for early May, and
Okay.
our consultant's working on it now. We already have information up on the website. The app is already out there and available because we already use it. So if people get the app already, start playing with it and get set up.
Okay.
Let's have a lot more coming.
And I believe, Joe, we're also going to be able to give Peggy and Guilford as well some materials for them to help promote as well. So I think Susan's working on some things that you can basically just copy and paste, like here's the text, here's the image, and you can send it out kind of thing, as long as it looks good to you.
Okay,
so it should be an easy lift. Yep.
Yeah, because we have our different ways of doing that, and I probably think it would be good to have a public presentation about this for those interested or something.
Absolutely.
Either the library or the senior center. So we'll work with you on setting some of that stuff up for May.
Absolutely.
So
Peggy, I'm
I'd
thinking
love
of
to.
some prior things the selectmen have done to try to help publicize something like this. As I remember, we, the selectmen, took a bus ride for one of the previous introductions of a service
for
like
the
this.
the Hammonasset shuttle.
So Jen, you ready to get on the bus?
Yeah, I downloaded the app while we were having the presentation. I am ready to go. So, and I will say the app was super easy to find, very straightforward to create an account for folks that want to do that. So, just in my experience, in that quick couple of minutes and very easy user experience. I do have one question. Since this isn't like a set bus route type of thing, do riders receive any sort of estimate of how long it will take them to get from point A to point B?
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
Okay,
so
great.
it will give them an estimate And I'll have to say too that the estimates with this software are actually pretty good. So we used to have an old software provider who would kind of give wishy-washy estimates that would often change very frequently and were often inaccurate. These ones have been pretty good. It's one of the selling points of this software that we currently use is that they have a good algorithm, so it does a good job of giving a good estimation. So yeah, you have a good way to see it. And we're usually between, depending on the zone, we're usually between anywhere between 8 to 13, 15-minute wait times. So we're usually pretty good in wait times. They can get higher if we have a big, busy time and 20 people are asking to go at the same time. But they can get longer, but our average wait times are pretty reasonable. So we like to keep it that way.
So can I just ask you though, so I understand how this works?
Yep.
So I'm up, at Roberts Food Center and I want to
Yes.
lift home, right?
Yep.
So they give me 8 minutes, they pull up, I get on. Now, they're leaving the parking lot and then all of a sudden, could they get another ride where there could be a pickup on the way to dropping me off, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
right. So, so it might be that once I get on there, my arrival time might be slightly changed, right? Because, but is there a guaranteed, so all of a sudden you don't get caught on the bus for an hour?
Yes.
going
There are a
around
couple
five
things
neighborhoods?
there.
Right.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So there's, at least to my mind, and Joe, correct me, there's two things that can help with that. First is we can actually customize the algorithm, and what that means is we have the ability to actually set basically a max time that we can be on the bus at one time. So we have an ability to say this person can't be on the bus longer than 30 minutes or something like that. So they have, at some point, they have to get their final stop. So we're the balance is we're trying to balance the efficiency of picking up multiple people, which is what we want to do. It is public. We want to pick up multiple people and have them on the bus. But to your point, we don't want them driving around all day, sitting around waiting for them to stop. So that's the balance there. And then the other thing I had, I think, went out of
So
my
that's
head
kind
when I
of
was
all
talking about
mapped
that.
in, that's
But
kind of all mapped into the routing. It's in an algorithm or
yes,
whatever, right? So that the driver is kind of instructed knowing that they have to drop this person before
yes,
they go pick up others okay.
It's a very complex algorithm, and it's one of the reasons we switched about a year ago, almost a year ago. Providers is people we started with. It was very, very new technology, and it didn't have a lot of these things. And that again was one of the things we saw is that if it got busy, it could keep someone on for a long time. This one does have what they call like maximum deviation rule. So
Yeah.
as Brendan said,
Okay.
it's not just like a fixed, okay, they can't be more than 30 minutes. Because like if you're going from one end to the other,
right.
it take 30 minutes, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a
Right.
big zone. So it looks at what's the ideal time if you were to drive it. And then it factors in a factor of what's the maximum we could deviate and make that longer than the ideal time. So yeah, so they're very complicated algorithms. There's a lot of factors in it. That's just one of many factors in the algorithm. Dynamic
And
algorithm.
one of the things we talked about was I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize. We were talking about, if you want to use this to go to work, right?
Right.
You obviously need to leave some buffer time, but you can put in a hard stop. I have to be at this location, or if you have
Yes.
a doctor's appointment or some sort of appointment. So I just want to make people aware that there is the ability to put that into the system so that you're not, stranded on a bus somewhere. Trying to get
another new feature of this provider is that you are able to put in I have to be somewhere by a time and not just what time to pick me up. And you could book in advance too. So if you're going to work, you could book like a standing trip that Monday through Friday, I have a trip that gets me there by 8 o'clock. And you could do that. So you don't have to do it on demand. If you know in advance that you're going to take the trip, right, you be somewhere at a certain time, you can book it in advance.
Okay, great. Any other questions from board members?
And
No?
if I can, I want to add one more thing, because I don't know that we even gotten to tell you, Peggy, because just maybe not even a month ago, we got the approval from DOT to expand our main route from Madison to Old Saybrook to Sundays. So we will begin Sunday service for the first time. March 28th, we'll start having service on Sundays in Madison on our regular fixed route.
Yep.
Okay, that's good news.
Yes, you have another news series.
Yeah.
Same
Well,
time.
it would be good to get this presentation. We might put this on our website, just as a prominent thing saying, you know, this is coming, and then we can start marketing it, in May. Welcome, Scott. So, I mean, I'm good. I'm excited about it. We'll get more information out there to the public, and, you know, it'll be interesting to see. It's a behavior change, I think, for a lot of people that don't live on public transportation. So it'll be interesting to see how it gets adopted. I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of, you know, teens and things like that, people that, you know, don't necessarily have access to a car all the time, use this, but which I think is a great thing, because it gives some opportunity. And then some people, you know, might end up using this a lot for their work or their schooling. So I think it's really exciting. All right, well, thank you guys. And then maybe we'll do an update, you know, at least we'll, you know, once we're kind of in the middle of it, and get a report back about how it's going. I think that would be really helpful for the board to hear. So,
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks
okay,
very
thank
much.
you. Thanks. Okay, great. So moving on to item number 9, which is an update from one of our projects, which is the Emergency Operations Center and Firehouse Expansion project, which is basically taking the downtown firehouse, Madison Hose 1 building, adding an extension that was been needed for a very long time for additional equipment and the size of the fire trucks. And then adding into that, we received a federal grant to help fund a permanent emergency operations center for the town. So I thought it'd just be helpful, because this is obviously an important project for the town. So our emergency management director will give us an overview, and Sam is also on the building committee. So Sam, I'll turn it over to you. Where are we on this project?
Okay, so currently we're the committee decided to go with a design build method, so that we could hopefully keep the building within budget. As you know, the budget was done in 2021 with Colliers, and ever since then prices have gone up quite a bit. So I do have I don't know if you guys have seen the let me share the screen here. So this is our concept drawing. So we are going to work with ACA and everything else to because the building currently is 95 feet long, and add another 28 feet onto it with all brick might make it look so massive downtown. And we're probably going to put some type of attic on top of a pitch roof, so that we have some storage as well. So that's what our concept drawing is, and we're hoping that we're working with Sourcewell. There's this company called Blue Scope that's already pre-bid with Sourcewell, and they work locally with Munger, so they kind of subcontract down. So we're hope to come back to you guys next meeting with a proposal to get things going, and then we'll get some schematic drawings going and be able to update you better. But that's
So Sam, maybe just explain though to the board the difference between design build versus what we've done with our other projects, where we've kind of hired an architect, developed plans, then put that out to bid for construction. This is a little different. It's all one-stop shopping, basically.
correct. So basically what it is we're kind of trying to design to our budget. So instead of hiring an architect to go out making plans and then going out to bid, and then we don't have enough money, have to come back and change things as we start designing, we're going to see, all right, this is what it costs, and hopefully this is how we're going to keep the project within the budget. So the design build, everybody's all in one firm. The architect, the engineers are all the responsibility of the contractor. So there's no finger pointing if something's wrong someplace down the line where we'd have to have change orders, and hopefully this will limit the amount of change orders we have. So there's going to be a lot of scrutiny during the whole design phase in the beginning, so that we, get what we need and hopefully bring the project under budget. They're already questioning our budget, so. This with
course.
everybody else.
I know it's tough. It's just the same battles we've seen on all these projects. I think that because this is an addition, to an existing building, and the kind of the overall size of the project, we thought that the design build actually might work well. And Sam has talked to another fire department, right, in another town that has gone down this path and used this, and with success.
Yeah, North Haven's done this on actually 3 or 4 of their projects, and it's been very successful, and they've actually saved money and came in within the budget. So we're hoping that to follow their example.
Sam, are you the only member, you're the joint sort of liaison to the town? Are there other town representatives on the build committee, or are you it?
Well, Peggy sits in.
I'm a liaison, and then there's permanent members, which I don't, are there any on the call this morning?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. So
Okay.
Greg Carroll, who's one of my fire inspectors, he's Madison Hose. He's assistant chief for Madison Hose. Travis Kulik, he's a member of Madison Hose. Bob London, who's on the other building committees for the school, at the elementary school, and he's also a member of North Madison. And then we have Jim Cottage, who's a retired firefighter and does contracting now. He's retired from the Haven. So that's the committee. We do have Downs Construction as our OPM. Yeah, so things are starting to move along. The only thing is we do have the 2 buildings we have to get rid of, and I know there's a lot of pushback about people seeing Chow Bella go away. But that
Are they moving? Are they moving to somewhere else? Do we know, or?
So I think that they have a space for September 1st. So they asked, originally we gave them until June 1st, because we were looking at demolition, but the way things are progressing, they asked for an extension, so we gave them out to August 1st, so they can get through the summer, and depending on how things go, it might be September 1st, so that they could switch over to their new place. So we're trying to work with the tenants, to keep them happy, and not the summertime is, of course, big business for them.
For sure.
And plus, they've been getting a good deal on the rent for quite a few years. So,
They put a few things in one of the bays for a while, and little fireman
well,
sale.
so we talked about that, but the problem is, where do we put the trucks? So
Kind of the issue, right?
yeah.
Well, and I think the other thing that I know I've talked to Sam about is, maybe trying to see if anybody would want to actually move the buildings, because they're, particularly the front one that was moved from another location. It's a really cute building.
Yeah.
So this is a decision that's made by Madison Hose, obviously, since they own the property, but maybe thinking about auctioning off the buildings themselves, and people could, come and take them away rather than just demoing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front building has got some history to it. It used to be a fish market years ago across the street, and then they moved it to that location where it's at now. So if the Historical Society, anybody wants it, feel free. They just have to pay to move it. We probably wouldn't even charge for it. That's out there if anybody's interested, but we just don't want to hold it up the project. If they say they're going to take it, they have to get it on a timely fashion.
Timeline, Sam, because this obviously had been through planning and zoning a little bit before, a few years ago, but you're going to have to update. What's your timeline right now that you're talking about?
So we have to go back. We got to go to ZBA because we're going to be pretty close to the property line. And then once we get through ZBA, then we'll have to go to the zoning board and work with ACA. We're trying not to, we're trying to find some other type of siding besides just brick that they'd be happy with. So it doesn't, like I said, doesn't look so massive, such a big brick building. And we've had some preliminary conversations with ACA last year. So we're gonna work with those boards closely so that we keep this moving along. But we're hoping to break ground by September, hopefully start, getting the foundation into the ground.
So you will probably see on the agenda the next month or so, a contract for the design build contract, correct? That we'll be
Yes,
bringing that back to the
We're
board.
hoping to have the contract with Blue Scope ready to go for you guys to approve at the next meeting.
We also cleared it, because this is going off they're a pre-qualified, is it state or federal contractors? So we don't have to go through an RFP process with
Yes,
this.
so Sourcewell is a consortium in Minnesota, and they pre-bid all these contracts, and we vetted them with they comply with all the federal regulations for the federal grants and everything else. We went through all the, jumped through all the hoops. Basically asked our auditors if they were fine, and we got the green light from them. So we did all our homework to make sure that we're not violating any rules with the federal grants.
So this will just be, it's a little different than normally what you see on some of our bigger projects in terms of, a bidding process, a formal bidding process, because so it's a little different path. And I just wanted to make you aware of that, and that'll be coming to the board in probably the next month, I think, couple weeks, right? You're hoping to get a proposal?
Yeah, I think you guys next meeting is the 29th, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're hoping to have it by the 29th.
Okay.
Great.
Okay,
Exciting.
great. Yeah, exciting to see that move forward. I know, obviously a lot of public attention is going to develop on this, it's very prominent. It's going to be in our main street. And so I think that, everything in terms of the design and everything is going to be meant to make sure that it fits in well and looks beautiful on our main street. And I think that Madison Hodes is very aware of that. So, the sensitivity there.
And the other good news is that by the time we get ready to do the construction, the last two poles should be gone.
Yeah. Where is that? Are we still we're still waiting for that one transfer,
We have all
meter
our
socket, right?
we have all the equipment, we have all the meter boxes.
Have to come in and install them now?
Oh, it came in then. So
Yes,
can't we?
they put a work request into Eversource.
Okay.
So we're just hoping that they have the transformer available to put on that pad and get things going.
Well, I've been told that transformers are more readily available now. So hopefully, so
Yeah.
the meter sockets are in. So we will schedule some sort of recognition once those last two poles come down. So, all right, great. Any further questions? No. Okay, great. All right. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 10 is discuss the draft ordinance for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. So Aaron's going to be joining us. And I know this is basically, we talked about this once and we had to make some amendments. So that was in the packet. Aaron, if you just want to give a quick overview, and then we can talk about process from now, because we have to have a public hearing for these. So I would hate to, I don't want to have like every week a public hearing for every ordinance. So we're thinking of bunching them up. So we're not calling the public hearing on this, but if everybody's good with it, we'll put it on the list for when we call the public hearing. So go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, I think first on our list is the Bike Ped Advisory
Yeah.
Committee. There weren't a lot, the last time you saw this, there weren't a lot of substantive changes that were recommended to the actual charged duties and responsibilities. Some of centered around the number of members, and then you had a bit of a policy discussion whether or not you wanted alternate members on non-regulatory boards, and then terms as well. I think the agreement was to eliminate alternate members when it is not a regulatory board, and to have consistency with 4-year terms for members on boards. So I updated the language. The way that the current committee is structured and seated, you have 9 regular members and 2 alternates. And so, and all the members are interested in continuing on the committee. So I played with the language a bit to say no fewer than 5 and no more than 11 regular members and no alternates. That gives you flexibility to keep everyone who's interested in actively staying on the board now. And then if you decide in the future not to seat that many people, that's fine as well. And then the other was to stagger appointments. Up to 3 members shall be appointed to 4-year terms, up to 3 members for 3-year terms, up to 3 members for 2-year terms, just so that you're getting not everybody renewing at the same time. And then any remaining members can do a 1-year term, and then we'll start 4-year cycles after that. So we'll be staggered. And we did change the language. We weren't as specific with respect to staff who could assist the board. I just left the language simple to say town departments with staff having particular expertise may serve as advisors to the committee on an as-needed basis. And so that leaves it open to whomever either you wish to ask to assist or whoever is needed at the time for a project or, you know, related business. We kept the format of the way the ordinance is written I've kind of kept this consistent through all the boards that we're drafting now. So we have that standard language. Excuse me. We included the language from the charter for election of officers, the requirement for a chair and a vice chair, and how long they can serve in that role. And then again, the duties and responsibilities have not changed since the last time. I'm happy to go over them again if you don't, sorry, if you have questions. But basically, they have role as far as a bike ped advisory committee, and then also as the those who are overseeing the complete streets policy for the town. So I included that language in there as well. So we have some shall language and we have some may language in there that gives them some flexibility. I'm sorry, I have a tickle.
I mean, I think this reflects a lot of our conversation.
Yeah.
And like now that we're all consistent, you know, and I like the not, you know, it conforms with all the advice. So I'm good with this as is, and then maybe we just wait until we're ready to do a bunch of these, and then we call the public hearing for it. I don't know if board members have any other thoughts on this one.
I agree. I think that's the right way to go.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
All right, so that one is done, and then we'll hold on to it and call a public hearing when we're ready to schedule a bunch, which will be in the next couple of months, but
Okay, good. Hear that.
So I guess we can move on to the next one, which is obviously we haven't talked about this one before, the Coastal Resiliency Commission.
Right.
I think it'd be helpful to explain, because there's been some changes at the state level that we're conforming now with state statute. So maybe if you could walk through that and explain the you know, the difference of what this would be doing for that commission and changing their charge.
Sure.
And giving them regulatory powers, basically.
Right. And this was talked about at the time of the adoption of the new charter. Language was included in that to reflect the changes in the statutes, which is section 25-84 through 25-94, in which where we used to have a flood and erosion control board, the language has been provided now that enables municipalities to adopt a flood prevention, climate resilience, and erosion control board. And so in looking at this idea of consolidating boards, it seemed appropriate to merge the Coastal Resiliency Commission with the Flood and Erosion Control Board. And that's what this language reflects. So we really mirrored the responsibilities set forth in the statute and reference the statutes here. And also note that upon creation of this new board, the Coastal Resiliency Commission and the Flood and Erosion Control Board will be terminated. And so really, they will act as the Historic Flood and Erosion Control Board and have all the authorities set forth in that, which is they're authorized to prevent, correct, and arrest erosion and flood damage within the boundaries of the town. The board is authorized to plan, lay out, acquire, construct, maintain, supervise, and manage flood and erosion control systems. And they have the authority to enter into agreements with other municipalities as well as state and federal government to accomplish this purpose. Excuse me. And then on the so that's the Flood and Erosion Control Board language that's incorporated in. The coastal resiliency aspect is that this board will also evaluate the impacts of climate change and sea level rise to the town of Madison and adapt strategies to communicate and address the potential impacts to the town. And that's that's consistent with their existing role.
Yeah.
By statute, it does identify what the membership, how the membership should be structured here, with no less than 5 members, no more than 7 regular members, and 3 alternate members. So that language comes straight from the statute. And then again, we just structured a staggered appointment so that we could have our 4-year terms established and not everybody expiring at the same time. We've identified how vacancies are filled, and that's per the charter. And also identifying that town employees with particular expertise can serve as advisors to the board as on an as-needed basis, which
So-
typically is myself and Johnny Anako at this point.
So a question, because when I read this, that this board has the authority to plan, reconstruct, supervise, and manage the town's flood and erosion control system. That sounds like a operating kind of function, you know what I mean? And that's where I was kind of like, that's taken from the statute. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Are they like having oversight over then? Because you can't implement without the flood plain administrator, right? And the town planner.
Well, so
So,
this is really, for example, like the Neck River diversion. They're the managing entity and the responsible party who enters into these agreements on behalf of the town. So that clearly has to be done in collaboration with the Board of Selectmen and our council, but that's
Right.
the way the language is structured.
so, but would that agreement have to be approved by the Board of Selectmen? Like, can they enter into an agreement that is not approved by the Board of Selectmen? You know?
That's a good, I would have to defer to Carrie
Okay.
on that. I don't have as much experience in that. My understanding is that that's typically not done.
Yeah.
But
Right, I
they-
just wanna, so we don't have any misunderstandings about, 10 years from now, you have a commission that goes out and does something controversial, that the board is now going, wait a second, we didn't approve that, so.
It's
maybe we
really
could-
no different than your current flood and erosion control board, which is not seated. And so in this
Right.
particular case, the Board of Selectmen serves as the flood and erosion control board. That language exists in the statute. So yes, I think if
Okay.
there were ever an issue or an agreement for a new structure or maintenance or things like that, just similar to maintenance that we have now on you would need to coordinate
Okay,
between the two entities. But yes, you would essentially be giving them the authority to be that authority to enter into those agreements.
yeah, I think it would be helpful, because and this is just more like, because we haven't had an active flood and erosion control, like understanding a little bit more about what they would be doing, actually, you know what I mean? Like I know, a lot about the
Questions on that
floodplain,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Ordinance, we had a lot of conversations about that, but it would be kind of helpful to just understand what that actually means. And then are they then also the appeals? They're going to be the appeal body for people who are appealing,
Yes, that is a
floodplain,
responsibility
right.
here as well.
right?
the
And
floodplain ordinance.
is that in here?
Yes, it's letter F.
Oh, right, okay, I missed that. Okay, great. All right, so I just want to make sure that was clear because we didn't really have a appointed or a seated body to do that before, so.
Right. So really what we've done is we've just referenced the statutes as far as the Flood and Erosion Control Board requirements. And
Okay.
then these additional duties and responsibilities really relate to the coastal resiliency aspect, updating the plan, making recommendations for town projects.
Right, right,
and
okay.
Seeking funding opportunities, things like that.
And they've weighed in on this, right? Is this their
Yes.
recommended charge? Okay,
Yes, we have reviewed this entire draft.
okay. I mean, I'm fine with how it's written. I just wanted to get a better understanding about what it all means on a practical basis, you know, for some of those duties and,
I agree. I think it
which
would
I could-
be
yeah.
helpful for these members too, because some of them had questions.
Yeah.
You didn't want to have that level of responsibility.
Mhm.
Some of them raised the issues. So we really, it would be helpful just to have
Yeah,
an educational piece
I,
on the
I
foot.
tend to agree with you, Peggy, too. The word manage just seems to imply operational support. It seems to imply somebody from the town doing the work as opposed to these are just volunteers. So I think
Right.
if I was sitting on that commission, I'd be a little nervous too.
yeah, we'll get some,
You
we'll
are
talk,
actually,
yeah. We
as the current
technically
Flood and
are.
Erosion Control Board.
Good. Well, good.
Yeah, maybe we, when we talk about this again and send it to public hearing, we can have some like examples and just explain kind of what this actually means. Because it's a little fuzzy for me as well.
Yeah, I'll get some information
Yeah.
on exactly what their roles are. I'm sure
Yeah.
I can find
Yeah,
research.
I mean, this is all written well,
standard,
and it's
yeah.
conforming with the state statute. It's
Right.
just more informative for us, so we understand a little bit more what it means.
Yeah, and I think it would be a good idea to run all of these through Carrie as well, just for any red flags before adopting them
Yeah.
as ordinance,
Yeah,
which I
okay.
have not
Oh,
done.
so this hasn't been gone through town council yet?
No, I wanted to get
Okay.
just feedback first.
Yeah,
from-
okay, okay. All right, well, good. I think we're good on that. And that'll come back again for discussion, but that'll be, you know, hopefully, but in May or something, we'll be ready to take a bunch of these to public hearing. So,
Okay, yeah, I think the other one was affordable housing we were working on and possibly.
yeah, if you could plan on that for the April meeting, and then maybe May is when we set on the agenda to move all these to public hearing in May. So it'd be good to get affordable housing on there for the next meeting. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, great. And it looks like Bruce has joined us. So we will move on to, and Aaron, you should be available for the executive session. I'll be inviting you in for that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So item number 12 is discuss and take action to approve a line item transfer of $45,000 to Public Works gas and oil line item from the snow removal budget line item to cover the town's gas and oil needs pending Board of Finance approval.
So moved.
Second.
Great. So John, if you just want to explain where we are in this.
Yes, so this is the first year that this account, gas and oil account, was always a compilation of all the various town departments. And it was handled out of Public Works. So the Public Works, historically, the Public Works budget was, gas and oil account budget was 88,000, with all of 8 or so different town departments having their own budgets that would, I guess, reimburse into the main Public Works account. It was managed out of the Public Works Department. This year, it was all kind of consolidated, with the exception of Madison Ambulance and the Fire Department. Those two departments still reimburse into this main account. So it was revised this year. As a result, the Public Works budget went up, because now that's the primary account, with just 2 smaller departments feeding back into that. Really, so we're short this year, and it's really not a result of anything other than it was underestimated when this was done for this year. It's been, I've looked at the fuel consumption for the budget request for next year, and the the issue's been corrected. But at this point, we're short on the gas and oil account to get through the next, 4 months. Fortunately, there's money in the snow account. It didn't snow much this year, so we have an excess, and I'm able to do a line item transfer into the gas and oil account to cover the shortage. That's what this request is for.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, we're trying to get greater visibility across the entire town. It used to be all these little tiny accounts, and it was kind of tough to, and then now we're trying to pre-buy and lock in pricing and things like that on an aggregate level. So this was like the first year that we had done all the aggregation of the account. So we're kind of figuring out our forecasting. Any further questions on that? No? Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, great, thank you.
Eased for my eye.
Thank you.
All right, great. So with that, I guess we'll move on to citizens' comments, and just so the public is aware, we're moving to an executive session after that, so there will not be anything happening in the meeting except closing. I would like to then welcome any citizens' comments.
We have one.
Okay.
Oh, good
Thank
morning.
you. Good morning.
Tom
State your name and
Hanson.
address, please.
Yeah, sure. Tom Hanson, 120 Princess Drive. Are you hearing me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
we
good.
can.
We're good, Tom. Go
Yep.
for it.
Yep.
Just wanted to comment on the property across the street from the ambulance center, the old police station, and it seems to me an eyesore and probably a safety hazard, that big open hole down there. And just wanted to ask the selectmen to look into maybe getting that property cleaned up.
Okay, thank you. And just so you're aware, we don't own that property anymore. It's actually owned by a private, you're talking about the that has the tower on it. That's owned by a private, that was sold about 20 years ago, actually, I think is what we're,
Yeah, but don't we have some safety concerns or some issues with the property being open like that?
I can certainly, I'll talk offline and see, we can have somebody take a look at if there is some issues about, maintenance or anything like that. But it is owned by a private person at this stage, but we can certainly look into that. So thank you, Tom.
Okay, thanks.
Any other hands raised for citizens' comments?
No, there are not.
Nope. Okay, great. All right. Well, with that, then I guess I'd like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session and invite into executive session regarding West Wharf lease negotiation. I'd like to invite into that Aaron Mannix, our town planner, Jeannie Stevens, my assistant, and Mario Coppola, who is the attorney with Bertram Moses, and Austin Hall, who is Director of Beach and Recreation, to enter into executive session.
Just removing the other attendees. So just hold on.
Okay.
You need
but
Stacy
I'm
too.
making a motion. Can somebody-
Stacy's out there too. Do we need?
Oh, Stacy, yeah, I'll invite Stacy in as well if she wants to join us, because it does relate a little bit.
I think
Okay.
Bruce just moved. I can second.
Okay, great. All right. And then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so members of the public, you'll be removed from the public, from the meeting. The board will be going into executive session, and then when we come out, we'll adjourn in public, but there won't be any further discussion or action items being taken after we come out of executive session. So we'll just give Jeannie a minute. So she's going to remove people and then lock the webinar. It's her first time doing this, so, and stop the recording, Jeannie.
Mario needs to accept my promotion.
Okay, Mario, you need to accept the promotion, and then you can stop recording as soon as we. So we are now, Jeannie, if you want to unlock the webinar and then start recording.
You're recording.
Okay, great. So with that, we just moved out of executive session, and with that, hearing no objections, I would like to adjourn the meeting. Have a great one, guys. Thank you.
All right.